was a simple horse or ox cart, we would have what you see on picture in the middle picture. You know, the tires are tilted, they do not step on the ground horizontally. However, when the tracks were measured, it is obvious that the vehicles were well manufactured to suit the environment, and there would be some sort of springs, or I don't know what sort of device, but something was keeping the tires to step still horizontally on the ground, and this is a definite proof that actually it was pretty well designed and sophisticated vehicles that left these tracks after all. The next point is that the official archaeology calls these tracks roads, but um, they're nowhere near roads. Actually, a road is something connecting two points. And these tracks, they're just all over the place. I mean, look at this aerial map that is now on the screen. They're practically going in all directions, all over the place, where the rocks that were formed during the Neogene periods show on the surface. Where something else shows on the surface, they're not present at all. This is one more proof, actually, that these were really roads or even tracks that were formed just a couple of thousand years ago. They would be visible on all types of surfaces, regardless the age of the rock. They would be visible also on rocks formed during other historic periods. However, there is not a single track that is visible on a rock that is not formed during the Neogene. Another point, that roads, they always somehow consider the landscape around. I mean, when there is a difficult place to conquer, they will not go just exactly over the top of a mountain. They would go slightly around it. There is no such consideration with these tracks. They just go over hills where it's comfortable, where it's not comfortable, over cliffs, over bumps. It really doesn't matter. They're just all over, and they have no direction and no consideration for the surroundings. So there is no question of any roads here at all. Another thing is that roads, even in the antiquity, would get repaired when they have a problem. And in this particular case, if the tracks that are supposedly left by these primitive carts were getting too deep, and the road, so-called road, was getting useless, I mean, it wouldn't be very difficult to just get a bucket or just even a broom and sweep pebbles that are readily available all around and continue using the road instead of making a next track. However, we see no attempt at all to fill up the tracks and reuse the road. Basically, there are no signs of any attempts to repair the roads, and roads are repaired. That's why they're made and maintained. Well, and that takes us straight to the next point. Actually, roads are usually built. And here there is no sign of building anything. Okay, on a flat surface where we have just flat rock, obviously there is no point in building a road over there. However, we can see that after a few meters, this flat stone surface meets a muddy area, and over there, if this was really a road, there would have been some sort of enforcement of the surface to make a road. I mean, just imagine if a vehicle was that heavy and enormous to make track in hard stones, how would it behave in the mud? Obviously, there is no question of any roads here. There is no building. There could have been some wooden, there would have been some sort of wooden support, or even just pebbles, anything. It could be primitive. to look like a road, but this doesn't resemble a road even remotely. It is just a vast network of tracks all over the place. Another point is that if these tracks were left gradually by a large number of animal pulled carts in the very recent history, by recent I mean 2,000–3,000 years, then there would have been signs also in the middle where the supposed animals, poor animals who were dragging these heavy loads, would have passed. Actually, such signs are absolutely absent. Moreover, just look at this picture that is now on the screen. Look at this turn. I mean, the wheels of the vehicle were, it was going sideways. I mean, a cart would get stuck here. It's obvious the animals would damage their feet. They would break their legs trying to walk on such terrain. It's obviously absolutely impractical for any type of carts to use these so-called roads. Actually, other things got imprinted in the soft stone or soft mud, whatever the form was of the earth when these tracks were made. It was soft, and it was not only the tracks, other things got also imprinted in the soft surface. Pay attention to this whatever quadratic or structures with regular corners. I wonder what would be the official historic explanation for such road formations. Maybe the kids of the people who were riding in the cars, they stopped over and they made these tracks with their tiny small carts by moving them in such a fashion over a small place. That must be the explanation in that type of spirit of explaining. At few locations there were observed tracks of something that would resemble, I don't know, a motorcycle or bicycle, because it was just a single track. There were no two tires. So apparently there were different types of vehicles also. And by the way, Turkey is not the only location where such or similar tracks are observed. And as it can be expected, it is always on similar rocks that were formed during the Neogen period. And other locations where such imprints can be found, although not in such abundance, are Bulgaria, which borders Turkey, Azerbaijan, Abkhazia, Armenia, and Crimea, as well Mexico and US. Maybe some little listeners are a bit confused about all these tracks left by vehicles that seem to be high-tech, and all that some 5 to 23 millions of years ago, when we were supposed to be some sort of monkey-like creatures, according to what they taught in school. Well, this is not at all a mystery, and these findings are absolutely coherent with many other modern findings in archaeology, and not so modern. It was quite a few years ago that Michael Krem compiled his brilliant work, where he, with remarkable precision, describes and gives complete footnotes of hundreds of objects that confirm intelligent presence on Earth for millions and millions of years ago. Such findings are, they number in hundreds or even thousands, and none of them are very new. Just those of you who feel confused, The reason is that this type of archaeological findings are not included in history textbooks, standard history textbooks in any country of the world, simply because it doesn't fit the official picture as they try to present it to people, whatever agenda they have. And if you have enjoyed this video and you find it fascinating, you can also find another similar mind-opening video about Cappadocia on my channel. And of course, I already mentioned the work of Michael Cremon, where you can make yourself familiar with findings about intelligent existence millions of years ago. So again, having tracks of sophisticated vehicles dating 5 to 23 million ago is not some mystery. It's absolutely coherent with hundreds of other findings of all sorts and descriptions, made by archaeologists all over the world. And if you're still having difficulty to adjust your mind to the wavelength of having high-tech vehicles during the New Game period, when monkeys were roaming the face of the earth, I promised you in the beginning to give you a hint of what kind of monkeys could have operated these vehicles. Or I don't know, they could have been robots as well, or coming from other locations, not Earth. I really have no clue about that. But I would advise you to visit a wonderful website called Descent from Darwin. A link can be found in the description of this video. And this will explain a lot to you. It will explain why they taught you in school that scientists think that we evolved gradually from monkeys or whatever ape-like creatures and so on and so on. Just they didn't mention that it is some scientists that think that. It is not all. They forgot to mention to you, unfortunately, that there are many other theories, hypotheses, same like the new Darwinism is just a hypothesis about the origin of our and other species. It is not something that is proven already, same like the many other hypotheses that exist around. And on this website, you will be surprised to find out that actually it is not accepted all across the scientific community that this type of natural evolution is solely responsible for the variety of species that exist currently on our planet. And another small reminder I would like to make is that in the same way as currently on the planet we have practically different civilizations of human living in. On one side you have uncontacted tribes that still live their lives in caveman style. Although they are not the majority, they still exist. They don't know anything about the world the way we know it. And then we have our technologically relatively advanced society, and we exist parallel with each other, and one of the parties doesn't even know about the existence of the other party. So if this is possible nowadays, why it wouldn't have been possible during the New Gen period? Maybe at that time the ratio was different. The ratio is even changing nowadays constantly between the so-called civilized and non-civilized population on Earth, although those terms are not extremely appropriate in this situation. But anyway, So if this is possible now, why it wouldn't have been possible at that time? And that would explain why there are lots of archaeological findings of really